Hello, good morning, dear students. So, today we are starting with the next chapter, that is the sermon at Banaras. Gautam Buddha began life as a prince named Siddhartha Gautam in North India. At 12, he was sent away for schooling in the Hindu sacred scriptures, and 4 years later, he returned home to marry a princess. They had a son and lived for 10 years as a befitted royalty. At about the age of 25, our parents, therefore shielded from the sufferings of world while out hunting, chanced upon a sick man, and then an aged man, then a funeral procession, and finally a monk beginning for alms. These sights so moved him that he at once went out into the world to seek enlightenment concerning the sorrows he had witnessed. So, it is about the story of Gautam Buddha and a story of a little girl named Kisa Gautami. So, Gautam Buddha was a prince whose name was Siddhartha Gautam and in the northern part of India. At the 12 years of age, he went for schooling in the Hindu sacred scriptures, and at the age of 25, he returned back to marry a princess. They were having a son, they lived for 10 years, and then the life proceeded further, and the funeral proceedings and everything was done. He wandered for 7 years and finally sat down under the peepal tree where he vowed to stay until the enlightenment came. So Gautam Buddha wandered for 7 years and sat down under the peepal tree for the purpose of enlightenment. Enlightened after 7 years, he renamed the tree as Bodhi tree, the tree of wisdom, and began to teach and share his new understandings. At that point, he became to know as Buddha, the awakened or enlightened. The Buddha preached his first sermon at the city of Banaras, most holy and the dipping place on the river Ganga. That sermon has been preserved and is given here. It is reflected that Buddha's wisdom about one inscrutable kind of a suffering. Sermon means a type of a place जहाँ पे कोई गुरु बैठकर शिष्य को पढ़ाता है. So a sermon was created by Gautam Buddha in Benares under a people tree. Kisa Gautami had only a son and he died. In her grief, she carried the dead child to all her neighbors, asking them for the medicine, and people said she has lost her senses. The boy is dead. At length, Kisa Gautami met a man who replied to her request. I cannot give the medicine for the child, but I know a physician who can. And the girl said, pray, tell me, sir, who is it? And the man replied, go to Sakya Muni the Buddha. So Kisa Gautami is the name of the mother, and she was having a son, and the son was dead. So she used to move in the whole village to take the medicine for this little child, and everyone in the village used to say to her that this girl has lost her senses. As the boy is dead, he cannot be alive. So, and finally, she found a man who replied to the request of Kisa Gautami that he know one man who could help her. So the Kisa Gautami is saying to that man that can you please tell me that who is that man. So he is saying that you go to the Buddha. Kisa Gautami replied to the Buddha and cried, Lord and Master, give me the medicine that will cure my boy. The Buddha answered, I want a handful of mustard. And then, when the girl, in her joy, promised to procure it, the Buddha added, the mustard seed must be taken from the house where no one has lost a child, husband, parent, or a friend. So, जब ये किस्सा गौतमी बुद्धा के पास जाती हैं, दैट इज सिद्धार्थ Gautam Buddha, and she is saying to him that मुझे वो इंसान ने भेजा, and he is saying that you will cure this child. So she is saying that if you can please give me the medicine for the little child. So Gautam Buddha is saying to the Kisa Gautami that you have to do one thing, you have to bring a handful of mustard seeds, and the mustard seeds should be from such type of a house that none of the family member, parent, husband, friend, none of the family members from that house had been dead. Poor Kisa Gautami went from house to house, and the people repeated her and said, hence here is a mustard, take it. But when she asked, did your son, daughter, father, or mother died in your family? They answered her, Alas, the living are few, but the dead are many. Do not remind us of our deepest grief. And there was no house about some beloved one had died in it. Kisa Gautami became weary and hopeless and sat down on a wayside, watching the lights of the city as they flickered up and were extinguished again. At last, the darkness of the night resigned everywhere, and she considered the fate of man that the lives flicker up and are extinguished again. So, when Kisa Gautami used to move from house to house seeking for the mustard seeds, everyone used to say to her that yes, we can offer you a mustard seeds. We are having a mustard seeds in our house. But when she asked that if any one of them had died or is a death occurred in your family member, everyone would say that the number of living people are less and the number of deaths are more. And please do not remind us about all those things because it creates a because it is having a grief in our hearts. And she considered the fate of a man that their lives are flicker up and are extinguished again. So she was just totally hopeless and was sitting near a street light and was observing the street light, that the light was flickering and was lighting off a little. So she is saying that our life is also like that. Sometimes we will be happy and sometimes we will be sad. Death is common to all, yet in this valley of desolation, there is a path that leads him to the immortality, who was has surrendered all selfishness. The Buddha said, the life of mortals in the world is troubled and brief and combined with pain. So everything was fine. Now she had understood that death is common to all. For their servant religious and moral talk, the pink place is bathing inscriptable, something which cannot be understood repaired. Went to a valley of desolation, an area in which filled with a deep sorrow mortals bound by the die 2020. The sermon at Banaras is not any means by which those that have been born can avoid dying. After reaching the gold age, there is a death of such a nature all living beings. As ripe fruits are early in danger of falling, so mortals were born were always in danger of death. As all earthen vessels made by the potter are being broken, so the life of mortals, both young and adult, both those who are fools and those who are wise, all fall into the power of death. We are all subject to death. So the moral over here is that everyone, the person who has taken the birth, is supposed to die. It is not possible that the death will not come to the person that who is sitting in the sermon, or any religious person will not face any kind of death. It is not at all possible. Even the potter who is making the vessel, he will also feel that the vessels will also be broken at some times. Even the ripened fruits are having the possibility to fall early. Of those overcome death depart from life. A father cannot save his son, nor a kind man their relation. Mark, while the relatives are looking on and lamenting deeply, one by one mortals are carried off, like an ox that is led to the slaughter. So the world is affected by the death and decay. There are some wise and not grieve, knowing the terms of the word, not from weeping, not from grieving, while anyone obtain peace of mind. On the contrary, his pain will be greater and his body will suffer. He will make himself sick and pale. Yet the dead are not saved by his lamentation. He who seeks peace would draw out from lamentation and complaint to grief. Who has drawn out the arrow and has become composed will obtain peace of mind. Means it is very much certain for everyone that everyone is supposed to face the death, and it is not at all possible that the person who has achieved a success will not die, or the person who is totally religious will not die. That is certain, and the person who has taken the oath is supposed to die. So at the end, Kisa Gautami also understood that the child was dead and it is not possible. She has to accept the thing that the child has already been dead and she has to move further in her life. Thank you.